Hello, welcome to this my next and latest chess video. This is showing a game that I've just played today, Sunday the 8th of February 2015 on the internet chess server. I'm playing black. I'm only rated at the moment about 1150. My rating's plummeted a bit. My opponent here is only rated 1070. Anyway, and it's really showing a French exchange asymmetrical variation, and it's really for my chess coach Mr. Bob Jones, who has advised that I play this sort of style against the French exchange. So take a look, Bob. I haven't done any analysis of it. It was a win for me, and here's the game coming up. E4, E6, the French defence, and a lot of players do play knight to F3 immediately, and my standard reply is just to carry on in the French defence, but the trouble with this is it invites a lot of players to play the exchange variation, which is such a dull variation as we know. So there we are, E takes D and E takes D gives the exchange variation. And the point now is that as black I need to play some asymmetric type positions. So white here plays H3, stopping my light squared bishop pinning the knight on F3. So I start by putting my dark squared bishop to D6, which is a nice place for it to be. And white develops with bishop to E2, very cautious really. And now another asymmetrically placed developing move. I play bishop to F5. White tries to blunt the power of the bishop by playing D3 and allowing his dark squared bishop to develop as well. Again, another asymmetric move, knight to E7, and that knight is protecting the D5 pawn and also protecting my bishop on F5. And I'm starting now to get the plan in mind to develop my other knight, my queen's knight, and try for a queenside castle and then an attack on the kingside if white does castle kingside, that is. Sure enough, there goes white, he castles kingside, so I develop my queen's knight, knight to D7, another sort of asymmetric developing move rather than placing it straight on knight to C6, which is usually a good square for the knight. So in this position I'm just practicing playing the French exchange in a very asymmetric, non-standard way, because when I do play very regularly with the king's knight on F6, castling kingside, I often find myself under a heavy kingside attack. So I'm just trying to use my coach's recommendation of an asymmetric type setup. White here develops, knight to C3, putting pressure on the D pawn. It is covered at the moment, and I now play my other knight, in fact to F6, which doubly protects that D pawn. And I'm getting ready to develop my queen, and I'm now planning to castle queenside. The only possible drawback of this is the bishop now pinning the knight. I could end up here with double pawns. Possibly one way to have stopped that might have been to have played the knight somewhere else, but I just go to accept double pawns and castle queenside and see what will happen. If you have a look, my bishops and my queen and my knights are all on the king side, so it should give me quite some scope to attack that white king, which is castle kingside. Anyway, white carries on, seizes his opportunity to double my pawns with bishop takes knight. So I get a damaged pawn structure, double pawns on the f-file as I recapture g takes bishop f6, but I've exchanged a bishop for my knight, so I've got the bishop pair, which should mean something. White now plays to attack the bishop, so I just retreat my bishop, and I'm hoping that I can defend this double pawn structure some way, somehow, and use the open G file against the king, because that's quite threatening as well. But I've just realised, and again, as I did in the match, here I played the move bishop to e6. Just in the same as I've replayed, I've suddenly got the thought that why not just play a bishop sack, bishop takes h3. If white were to recapture with the pawn, g takes bishop h3, I've got a recapture with my queen, and that king will be very open, and the knight is not on the best square on h4 to protect the castle king. So I was a bit miffed that I didn't play that, a sack, and just go ahead for sort of attacking mode and attacking the castle king. White here now plays d4, and again, instead of attacking straight away, I just castle queenside for safety. Right, here white plays knight to b5, and I decide finally to pluck up courage, maybe better late than never, but maybe too late, to play the sack. Bishop takes h3. At this point, white plays knight takes bishop, so I can't take back with the queen, otherwise I'll lose my bishop without that plan of having it backed up by my queen. So I take back with the pawn, and this is probably not very good for me in some ways, because I've got two sets of double pawns on the d file and the f file, but I also, for that, do have a strong attack against the white king. So the king moves up to try and put extra pressure on the bishop, and what do? Well, I just ignore that, and I decide to put pressure on the knight. White captures the knight, knight takes knight, and I capture back now with the h pawn, which is a neat little move, because when if and when white does capture that bishop, I've now got my queen and rook directly attacking the king. So white captures the bishop, which probably wasn't the best thing to do there. And now I can play queen to h3, check, and that king is totally defenceless now, can only fall back to g2, and here I can play the checkmate move. Queen h2, checkmate, and that's mate in 18 moves in an asymmetric French exchange variation. So that's a little bit more experience for me in the asymmetric exchange variation. I probably should have pressed my attack sooner, but it was a win. I'm sure white didn't play so well, but that's just an example that I am starting to try and play the French exchange in a little slightly different manner. Obviously the French exchange is the most boring of the French opening variations, which is a shame. I don't greatly like facing it, because it is really quite boring and quite deadly compared to the other variations, but this may be a new way to look at it, and I'm trying to get experience with it. So I hope you found that interesting, and that's the end of the game, the end of the video. Thank you very much for watching. Bye for now.